All right, are we ready? Oh boy, kind of a small group. There was some confusion about whether we were doing this tonight or today or not. I mentioned it last time, and hopefully you all recall, we're going to be moving from the employee meetings that we were having about every 6 weeks or so. There was some discussion, a decision made to have it a little less frequently, so looking at almost quarterly, I think. And we've got those dates set out. I think those will be in the upcoming newsletter if they aren't in the last one. So we may not be having too many of these, but we were sticking with this one since it was already on the schedule, although we don't have an agenda, so we will kind of go with the flow and do a little bit flexibility. Starting off with introductions of any new employees. And with great enthusiasm and come up front. No, that's all right. That's
So finance has 2 new staff members. We have Jessica Struberg, who is our new accountant, and we have Brittany Voss, who is our new accounting technician.
great. Welcome. All right, and I don't think we had another presentation today.
I have a new employee.
Oh, you have a new employee.
Robin Weberg from Freeburg. Now I must also announce that she's also leaving, so introduce and she's gone at the same time.
Any other new employees introduced? So welcome and goodbye, I guess, too. So that's all right. We'll do departmental updates. Most of my time has really been working on following up with the budget. Council approved the budget, and Sheila's going to walk us through all the pages of the budget a little bit, and working, trying to get information technology positions filled. We got some resumes in on those, and try to get that going. And working on a couple with staff, obviously, on a lot of different projects. Chestnut being one of those, seems to be getting a lot of attention here lately. And don't know if we're going to get an update on that. We'll see. All right, who's going to go up first? Jason.
Not much to say. I think me and Bob Clark have a race. Open burning started November 1st in the city. Daylight hours only. If you get a phone call on open burning, just refer them to City Hall. They can burn during the daylight. On their property, has to be yard waste, and that's the only thing you're allowed to burn inside the city. We like to call it burning season instead of the burn ban, which a lot of people still refer to it that. The other thing is myself and Bob Clark are conducting an investigation to find out who stole the chocolate mints out of the Associate City Councilor's office. Junior mints, I'm sorry. So whoever has the 13 packs of little mints in their trash can, Captain Clark will be interrogating you, and all UN what was the UN Fifth Amendment rights, all that's out the door. So if you want to confess, now's the time. Thank you.
Big dollars. I feel a little hokey throwing out the candy since it was just Halloween, but I just grabbed a bunch from finance anyway. So I voluntold to not really. I was actually volunteered to be the United Way chair. Is that what it's called? Chair. Okay. From Doug Shoemaker did a great job. I'm gonna hit Britt. See if he ain't looking. Oh. And so I'm gonna do that. I'll try to do as good as Shoemaker did. He did a great job. Excuse me, I'm talking. If anyone has an idea on a fun thing to do, I was just thinking today during our the luncheon this morning, that if we could like do some kind of fundraiser. I haven't talked to Steve about this. Hopefully he'll be okay with it. During these quarterly meetings that we're going to have, maybe we could do something just briefly to make some money. And I was kind of thinking about if we could beat. I'm not promising this yet, but if we could beat last year's goal, I thought maybe you could tase me or something. Watch me get tased. That might be fun. Now really, we could really get some money. we could really get some money if all the department directors would agree to it, and then you pick the one you want to get tased, or two. I'm sure some of them will decline. On the quarterly meeting thing, Junior Mints, yeah. On the quarterly thing, Steve is very interested, I think, in keeping you all informed, so that if you don't like the quarterly thing, it was originally my idea, and I'm certainly willing to take the blame if it doesn't work out. As Steve mentioned, Chestnut Street's taking up a lot of our time. Lincoln, his understatement. Lincoln is, has requested that the city close a portion of Chestnut Street right in front of the campus, and we had, boy, I think 50 people show up and talk at the council meeting. You're never trying. Various neighborhood folks kind of want to leave it open for transportation, and the students came in and talked about how they wanted to close for safety, and the councilmen are struggling to find a good solution to it that can, do what's right for the city. So we're going through some different resolutions and possibilities and things like that. So that has taken quite a bit of time. Had a bunch of just different developers. There's talk about development kind of over by St. Mary's that we're spending a lot of time on, and a development at Truman Hotel area that we're working on too. And then trash is a big issue that I'm not directly involved in, but I started working on a contract. So that's a big thing too. Nothing real exciting. I don't have like fun litigation stories or anything, but really that's about all I got. And I got I got 4 pieces of candy left. So that's all I got. Don Beck. Any questions? Thank you.
And for those new employees, once we have proof that gets started.
Okay, so last time I was up here, we talked about the you can't get there from here report. So this is going to be the, well, you can almost get there from here report. So a lot of things have happened in the last 6 weeks since we were together. Don Ray, which had been closed for all summer, has opened back up, so that's great. So if you ever make it out that way, you can then admire the very nice concrete stormwater box that we put there. We had a project over on Belmont, which is now completed as well. That was a project that actually only took us 6 weeks, so that was pretty light speed for us. And then we've had some work over at the airport. We talked about last time we were preparing for the ominous closing of the main runway. Well, that is back open again, and so the safety zone has been widened back out to 250 feet, and so we can land, Britt was saying, almost everything but Air Force One and maybe even Air Force One. So that's a good move, a good thing for us, for the city, for the airport, to have that main runway back open again. Other things, I was just out not more than a half hour ago, and the signal at the intersection of Stadium and Monroe is now flashing pretty Christmas colors. So if you include green and yellow as Christmas colors, red. Anyway, so that was just turned on, so it's we still don't have the detection on that yet. So this next week, it might be a little clunky as you drive through there, but by next Friday we'll have the detection on. And if you read the newsletter, it's the new type of detection. We're actually having radar detection, so if you have a radar detector, it will go off when you drive through there. But it's better than cameras because it's not affected by the weather, so it's our first attempt, so we'll see how that goes. Let's see. Oh yes, I am supposed to introduce Mark Mamert, who's going to talk about things that are happening in transit. So thanks very much.
Was that for David or for me? Probably for David, yes. I don't blame you. Okay, a few things going on at Jeff Tran. Thought maybe we'd give you a brief update on what's happening. We kind of fly under the radar for the most part until we propose a fare increase, and then we fly way above the radar. But currently we're doing a few things that have kind of, we think, have improved the system. The first thing is that we've actually added, as probably some of you know, St. Mary's was added to the route, something that they saw as critical, having transit there. We also added the Stone Ridge Village area to the routes as well, both Missouri Boulevard and Capitol Mall routes. We have 6 fixed routes, for those of you that might not know. 2 of those are actually accessing that area. And we've kind of incorporated a portion of what was called the JC Drive Loop. Used to be an on-call route. It's now been incorporated into the High Street West route. So those are all new improvements, new additions to the routes, and helps us serve our customers a little better. We've also put in a bunch of new bus shelters as well. Seems like it's never enough, but there are always more calls for more bus shelters, but bus shelters are a big deal to the folks that are standing out in the cold and the wet like today. So we've got new ones at St. Mary's Hospital and Capitol Mall, Kohl's, Sam's, Scholastic. And one of the unusual things about these bus shelters is that they were paid for by the companies that are there. So that's an unusual set of circumstances that oftentimes people say, well, you know, I've heard from a number of folks that if you ask XYZ company, they'll sponsor a bus shelter. Generally not. But that doesn't mean that it's not worth asking. So we've had some pretty good luck in that regard. We've also had some enhanced branding come our way. You might remember our ghoulish green logo that we've had around for quite some time. We do have a new logo, and you can see it right here. It is kind of a critical part of our marketing plans for the future. It even incorporates one of our performance measures, which is connecting the community. Every year we survey our riders and ask them, how well are we doing? What are we connecting the community, which is one of our raison d'etres. So no doubt about it, it looks a lot better, we think, and actually new uniforms too. Unfortunately, I'm not Vanna White or anything, but this is the new uniform for management. Kind of the navy blue. All of our drivers are wearing, they'll be wearing royal blue, and it looks pretty spiffy, we think. We've been getting lots of compliments on the updates, and we don't look quite so mall copish, and don't have nearly as much issue in terms of tearing of clothing, because it's so much more comfortable. And as a result of the uniforms now, we'll be doing away with a lot of dry cleaning costs. So while we'll have the initial cost of the new uniforms, now we won't have those dry cleaning costs. That'll be ongoing. And as any budget manager will tell you, it is the ongoing costs that end up biting you in the end. Another thing that we've done at Transit in the past year, and I certainly don't want to pretend that all of these are in any way, shape, or form my accomplishments. It's really a team effort, and some of this was going on before I even came on board in January. And that is that we've reduced our turnover. Our turnover went from 24% last year to 4% this year. That's a pretty good accomplishment, we think. The year before that was even more, it was 26%. So that rapid turnover really makes it difficult to provide quality service to our customers, consistent service, doing things the same way, all the bus drivers doing it the same way. Makes a big difference in the customer experience and that consistency. And although it's not quite the same, if you ever go to a fast food restaurant and the special sauce is slopped on the side and, stuff's falling out of it all over the place, that lack of quality control and consistency of service kind of sticks in people's craw. If we can do it better by not having as much turnover, it really helps our case. So that's another kind of feather in the cap this year. We also have 3 new buses that have come out. I want to give a shout out to Sonny Sanders, who tipped me off to this grant, and we applied for this grant. It's called a 5310 grant, Section 5310, specifically for the disabled and the elderly, service for them, transit service. It enabled us to buy 3 buses, 3 Handy Wheels buses, to replace them, all with over 200,000 miles on them. That means that we're really going to reduce our maintenance costs and we'll be much more reliable in the future. All good news for our customers as well as for us. But also it will help us reallocate dollars that were geared toward that to some improvements that have been sorely needed in terms of our AVLs, it's called automatic vehicle locators, to know where the buses are and help us on the future to kind of get an idea how we need to be doing things in the future with automatic passenger counters, et cetera. So these are things that are coming down the pike, and it's all possible because of that 5310 grant. So huge stuff going on in that regard. We did revise our Handy Wheels application in true government form. We went from 2 pages to 4 pages, and it really helped us out. It's kind of counterintuitive in some ways if you think about Handy Wheels. By all means, we want to serve everyone who needs the Handy Wheel service. On the other hand, we don't want to be servicing those who don't need the handy wheel service. And the definition of that is if an individual can use the fixed route system, then they use the fixed route system. If they're unable to use the fixed route system, then they're eligible for handy wheels. And there's a process and an application. Just by putting a little bit more clarity to the application, and by some of the work that we've done in terms of actually requiring a medical professional to verify that an individual's condition is such that they cannot use the fixed route buses, we've really seen a big drop in the number of applications that we've had for handy wheels. So while handy wheels runs around $22 per ride, and if we're charging $2, you don't have to be a genius to figure out that that's not exactly a winning proposition in terms of profitability. We want to provide that service, but we want to provide it to those who need it, and we think the new application has helped quite a bit. Then finally, I'm sure you're tired of listening to me, my kids tell me that I'm a cure for insomnia. We had Free Ride the Bus Day just recently not on Veterans Day, that's coming up. No, we had Free Ride the Bus Day, and no one will be here. Had Free Ride the Bus Day on Columbus Day, and it was actually a rousing success in our estimation. We had nearly double the riders, a little over actually, double the riders that we would normally have on a Columbus Day. A lot of new faces, had staff out in front at the transfer station explaining where the buses go, how to ride the bus. One of the things that we learned from that is that we need to have a video, or we need to have some way of telling people how to ride the bus. It seems to be too complex for a lot of folks, and that's one of the challenges that we'll have in front of us for the next year, is how to make that a lot more simple. So with that, I'm done. Any questions? Don't prolong the agony. Okay, thank you.
Hello, everyone. Janice McMillan, Planning and Protective Services. It's been a very busy season for my department. And for me, it's been all about trash, as Drew mentioned. City went out for requests for proposals last year and earlier this year. And it seems like many years ago, actually. Proposals have been received, and a work session has been scheduled for Monday, November 9th at 5:30 in this room. And the council will receive those proposals and hear the recommendation of the Staff Evaluation Committee. It was comprised of Bill Betts, Matt Marash, and myself. On November 17th, the public information session is going to be scheduled in this very room. And we'll answer questions and entertain comments. Anyone who's interested in child care, we have some new child care activities coming into town, a new child care home on Green Meadow Road. Joy and Gladness Children's Academy down here at 511 East McCarty is going to reopen that child care center. And there's also a future child care center planned for Masonic Drive, and I'll mention that one a little bit later. People who are interested in new restaurants coming to town, the old Shep Southside Diner is supposedly converting to a Chinese restaurant soon. New Greenleaf Cafe is proposing to open a coffee shop at 2003 Southridge Drive. And the Environmental Health Division is also known as the Cradle to Grave Division because they do it from cradle to grave. So in the cemetery area, they're working with Lincoln University and Dr. Ruthie Sturdivant to identify locations in the old city cemetery that may have graves of some of the founders of Lincoln University. Recycling is kind of winding down. We do have a glass pickup scheduled for November 9th. Jamie and Lauren are attending a hazardous waste conference today in Columbia, so we hope they'll bring back some good information. Historic Preservation is scheduling a special meeting on November 12th to review a proposed ordinance from the historic city of Jefferson, who want to revise the city's building demolition procedures. Working on a lot of landlord-tenant complaints. abandoned building reports. There've been several fires in our community that we're working to address. Some are in pretty prominent locations. 1112 Jackson, we have a demolition hearing scheduled for November 13th, I think, on 1112 Jackson and 1207 East McCarty. Since those owners haven't done anything with their properties, we may have to do it for them. We appreciate the law department working with them on these voluntary annexation petitions within Meadows by the Club. And some rezonings taking place. The Planning and Zoning Commission is looking at rezoning 2 vacant tracts at Christie Drive and Highway 179. Menards wants to expand their warehouse, add a warehouse and enclose the canopy area. And then Drew mentioned the concept PUD plan for the Galleria at Mission Drive, which is at 179 in Mission Drive. That will be on the Planning and Zoning agenda. And we have several rezoning actions on the council agenda coming up on November 16th. 3 tracts on McCarty to be rezoned to from general commercial to multifamily. So we hope to see some multifamily development out there in the Dela Drive area. The new daycare centers on Masonic Lodge. It's a beautiful building. You can go to the Planning and Zoning webpage and look at that. But it's a very nice looking building, so it'll be a great addition to our community. And there are several zoning code amendments that are also up on the council's docket. The Long-Range Planning Division, Capital Area MPO, is sponsoring a Livable Streets training session on December 1st, and the target audience is elected officials, department directors, planners, and engineers. So we're the people that need to be educated, that's for sure. Working on site plan reviews for the former bus station at 620 East McCarty. There's moving forward on converting that to a pizza restaurant. A new gas station proposed at 2727 West Edgewood. Have a consultant on board supposedly who's working on their traffic study, so we might see some forward movement on that plan. And then the site and building plans for the Recreation and Wellness Center is being reviewed by Planning, Public Works, and Fire Department. So those comments should be ready early next week. We have 289 active building permits in our city. That represents a total cost of over $44 million. In the building division, they're working with a group of home builders and contractors, developers, engineers to look at code updates, and so there may be some information that comes out in the news in the next month or so about that process. So typically the city has been on a track to update its building codes about every 3 years. We're a little behind on that, so we have a group who's interested in at least reviewing those codes and having work sessions on that. Lastly, some of you responded to my request for volunteers for Habitat Work Day, and that's scheduled for Saturday, November 14th. If anybody else is interested in participating in that work day, just let me know. We're going to be working at 512 East Ashley from 8 a.m. to 2:30 p.m., and that's on Saturday, November 14th. Lunch will be provided, and right now they're hanging drywall, so there'll be some inside work for some who want to work inside, and there may be some outside work too. So just let me know if you want to participate. Thanks.
Okay, good afternoon. How's everybody? All right, okay, this is going to be very quick. I just have a few things I just want to remind everybody. The wellness program, if you guys are going to participate in that, the biometric screenings are scheduled. They start tomorrow, so if you have not had a chance to go online and sign up and complete your HRA, I would highly encourage you to do that as soon as possible and get set up for screenings. Those screenings start tomorrow and next week, so don't forget. And also remember that the screening, the biometric screening, is a blood draw. That is a fasting test. So it means you need to save your breakfast and things for until after you've had that done in the morning. So, second thing is flu shots are scheduled for November 18th here at City Hall. That's a Wednesday. If you are on the city's health insurance, it's open for you. There is no cost to attend, and you do not need to RSVP. And it's also open for any spouses that are on our plan or any adult children that are on our plan. And then the benefits fair is scheduled for Thursday, December 3rd from 8 to 4, still tentatively planned for the police department classroom. And then the last thing I just wanted to mention is we did have all of the employee meetings a couple weeks ago where we talked a lot about the changes in health insurance. I think you all know by now that we are moving from 4 plans this year to 3 plans next year. If you missed the meetings and you have any questions, or even if you did and you just have some more questions about the health insurance plans, please feel free to get hold of me at any time, probably sooner rather than later. So, okay. That's all I got. Thank you.
Hello, for some of you who don't know me, Robert Clark, the Operations Division Captain with the Police Department. Just got a few things to talk about. Everybody else is in training, and the chief is on his way to the Mizzou Tigers football game, so I came in his behalf. Basically, HVAC system's going along on plan. Alan described it was on schedule, but behind schedule, but they'll catch up. I didn't understand what he was talking about, but yeah, some other stuff like that. And then we have 3 officers that are getting ready to graduate from the academy in December, and we're getting ready to hire another officer. We're 1 short at this time, so we'll probably have an interview process probably by December and get these guys out on the road probably at the first of the year, and then they'll have about 3 or 4 months of training before they're finally out on their own. So that's all I got.
Yeah. Since we're going to exceed our goal next year, can we go ahead and phase through now? I don't do with the phase.
Serious question.
I will find somebody that will do it. It won't take long. All right, who's next? Finance and then IT, or are you going to do both? Sorry.
So just a couple things today. I did want to remind everybody that the one-time payment that was approved by council will be on the paycheck for the week of Thanksgiving. Finance is going to make the effort to process that on Monday so that everybody can be paid on Wednesday before the holiday. So that's the goal, unless there is something that goes horribly wrong. We're also working on finalizing the budget document. As a reminder, performance measures for department directors are due by close of business tomorrow. So if your department director is not here, if you could pass that on, that would be helpful. And final deadlines for accounts payable for the old fiscal year. All invoices for the old fiscal year have to be put into the system by November 13th. That gives department directors November 16th, which is a Monday, as the final day for approving them and passing them on through finance. After that, we'll cut the last checks for the old fiscal year at the end of that week. And any invoices for the old fiscal year that have not been entered in the system prior to November 13th will not be paid until the beginning of January. So an incentive there for everybody to get their stuff in a timely fashion. Okay, I'm looking at Drew if you want to know the truth.
Wait, I have a question. What's the difference between the CAFR, the PAFR, and the BAFR?
That's a trick question because there is no BAFR.
What's the other one called? There's 3 of them, I know.
The budget document?
No, the CAFR, the...
But
sure there's not a
you're
BAFR?
referring to the budget document.
Yeah, okay.
That
The
is...
things you get the awards for, and then the CAFR.
That's really the budget document. They award us a certificate of achievement for the budget award. The others, the PAFR, is a popular annual financial report. That's a report that is approved by the Government Finance Officers Association, and it is a report that's intended to be for the average Joe Blow citizen. It's not nearly as convoluted and difficult to comprehend as the CAFR is. The CAFR is the Comprehensive Annual Financial Report, and it is the document that will put you to sleep if you need any help with that.
You're all welcome that you now know that information. All right, just a few things. Most people don't know that we have a new Midmo GIS website coming. Talking to the mic. I should know that. I tell the people at the council meetings, please do that. We have a new Midmo GIS website coming. It's going to be an HTML5 website, which what that means to you is it's compatible with your smartphones and your iPads and your other devices. And the home builders are saying the same thing. So that's kind of exciting. And you know, Melissa Johnson, she's my counterpart up at the county. We're both working on that together. Along with that, we have the 2015 aerials. Those are in, and as I get an opportunity to work on those, I will, and you guys will start seeing the new photography up on the website. We just want to remind everybody to please utilize the help desk as much as possible. If it's a non-emergency, please email the help desk. You can always call. Please, only emergency services should be calling us after hours, though. So, like I said, please utilize that help desk because we might get 15 requests between here and my desk, and I won't remember any of them, guaranteed. So, that's all I got. Drew?
Why do I have to call Clayton every day to get my credentials, to get my computer unlocked?
Because it makes us seem more necessary.
All right. That's a good reason.
Correct. It'll be browser independent. So if you, unlike the Silverlight website that is quit working on Chrome and only worked on your desktop, now it's going to be platform and browser independent. So.
I think there's a motion on the floor. I'm just waiting for a second.
Second.
Got a motion and a second on the floor. All those in favor?
Aye. Against, aye, because she's over my building also. We've already been to the CAFRA, the PAFRA, and the TRAFRA.
Wasn't prepared for anything? Yeah. Really, we're working on our multi-purpose building, bids are out now, and they're opening November 19th, that's what I thought. And we've also got bids out for the renovation of Ellis Porter Pool. That's going to be a pretty big change for next year. I think that's really exciting. And those are out too and opening real soon. Ice Arena's open, and business is picking up now that the weather hopefully will start getting colder, but yeah, I don't want it to, but that does help the business at the Ice Arena. Program-wise, we are gearing up for our winter programs, mainly basketball and volleyball. We've got a 5th grade program that started last week that we would do with the public schools, and then we've got our adult basketball league, which will start in December, and our high school hoops registration just started this week, and that will also start, I think, 1st of January. So we're busy, just wrapping up, trying to get everything. Bill's working hard to get everything wrapped up on his end, and I know they're doing interviews. And we'll find out who our new director is here in a couple months.
Wait, I have a question. When will you be out of my municipal court?
I don't know.
All right.
Probably in what, next
Okay. What other? There's, as you know, we've had several employee committees going on, one of which is the Classification Compensation Committee. They met probably 2 weeks ago now. They've been working on getting up to speed on some of how our current system works, identifying some of the issues on which they want the next request for proposals to address. They had a representative from Columbia come in and talk to them about Columbia's experience, so taking all that information, and that'll start helping us to prepare requests for proposals, and then we'll go through that process. Gail, anything to add to that? Can't think of anything. It's, I mean, that doesn't sound like a lot of work, but it's a lot of work. It's a lot of time involved in getting that done. What other, any other updates, department directors? We were, as we mentioned before, and I think you all know, we were moving from a employee recognition from a yearly, we're going to do that monthly. We have one that's been selected. We were going to announce it here today, and it's okay to do? Then we're going to announce that one today. So, as I said, we're going to go from the annual to the monthly, and then those monthlies will be able to be considered for an annual at once. So the first one, there were several nominations made, several very good ones, and this one, okay to do, will go to Ron Kraft with the airport manager. So if Ron didn't know that before, he's going to know it here in a few minutes, because we'll... Okay, great. So I'll read just a few of the things from, and actually it was kind of a lengthy nomination form, although length doesn't necessarily mean that that's why it was selected, but it just had more information there that was very helpful. And then, as I said, there were a couple of nominations from some very good employees and some of the things that they've done. So I'll just summarize a few of the items that were mentioned in that nomination. Ron, as always, has shown exemplary dedication to the customers of the airport. However, this year with the airport project reconstruction on our main runway, he has even exceeded his normal level of service. Ron has put in untold hours beyond normal workday to ensure that the project is running smoothly and that all customers of the airport are in the loop. The anticipated project cost is in excess of $7 million. Projects of this scope require incredible amounts of coordination from the team and teamwork between the contractor, subcontractor, and consultants. And it talks a little bit about some of Ron's customer service and being able to maintain that service during this construction. And then also, Ron has been an employee dedicated to the mission of the city and airport. Ron demonstrates on a daily basis the all caps CORE, core, which is something that Public Works has been working on. Actually, we ought to have a presentation on that sometime. Core mission of Public Works Department by working to improve our community by taking ownership of the project and achieving results and showing empathy for our customers. So certainly give Ron congratulations, and sometime we'll have him come give a speech. I think also we'll do a presentation at council meeting, and with that, congratulations. So. Surprise? What else? Any other updates you can think of, department directors? I can't think of anything offhand. Closed on Veterans Day. Anything else? Going once. Any other thing? Any questions, comments, concerns, observations? No? We're going to do a drawing.
Pressure's on. Kim Jones.
Kim was here. She kind of talked about it.
All right. I don't know. I can't read that.
It looks like it might be a Tina. I don't know, though.
We draw.
Tina Werner.
Clearly enough.
See ya.
I don't know. I don't know. I think just on general attitude, we may have to pick another one. Boy. What do you think, Clayton? Award it? Okay. All right, thank you.